confirmed. So, hey everyone, it's Paddy from Thinkific here, and today we have a really, really special guest, and we've got Katya Sarmiento. Sarmiento, if I got that
it's
right.
It's a difficult one.
It's a difficult one. I need to practice that more. And obviously, the one and only Robbie B from our social media team here, the head of our social team, doing amazing things. Everyone, thank you so much. Another Facebook Live today. Can't wait. We've already had some great banter, which we don't disclose unless everyone wants to know what we were talking about. And we want to know where it is that you're hailing from right now, because you've got a Disneyland or a Universal Studios near you. There may be a big party coming your way.
Shh, don't spoil all the secrets just yet.
If you want to know, type 1. No, I'm
yeah, type 1.
One.
So like Katya, hey, thank you so much for coming on. I know Rob, like you're going to be manning the chat, and if you've got any questions coming in, feel free to jump in as well. But we really got formally introduced actually last week, and we had a great discussion. I think one thing I really like when I was reading about your profile and who you are, obviously it's such a young age as well, and I don't mean that in any like patronizing way, but you've achieved so much, and when I was reading about the Bots for Business acquisition, and again you've done some amazing stuff. I think potentially could be a really big inspiration for a lot of entrepreneurs out there from all sorts of age categories and experience levels. So I want to ask this question, like, what was it that really made you get into the whole entrepreneurship world?
Yeah. Honestly, it was by accident. This is the thing about who I am. I have done everything the opposite of what's normal by society's terms. And so even like just thinking about how I was as a kid, I enjoyed playing Lemonade Tycoon or Big Biz Tycoon on the computer versus playing with Barbies. Or I really wanted a cash register for my birthday versus like whatever popular thing was going on. And even just growing up as a teenager, I was learning how to code MySpace layouts when that was a thing. And I was just.
So remember what MySpace? Press 1 in the comments.
Right.
One.
Now we're on Facebook. What's the next thing going to be? But like, it's just I've always been this very nerdy computer person for a very long time, and my dad also ran his own business and still does locally in Miami. And he would just he was the one that would give me laptops, and he would give me DVDs on Adobe Photoshop and Front Page and stuff. If you know Front Page before WordPress, oh my God, that was terrible. So I was just always into this stuff. And when I started going to college, there was just a period of my life where I was really depressed. And now looking back on it, I realized it was because I was doing what everyone was telling me to do. I thought I had to go to college, and then I had to get a job. And I did get my job. That was supposed to be my career for the rest of my life. And I was going to grow in the company, and I was going to, start a family and get married and have kids and whatever. And I was like, I'm not really enjoying this at all. This isn't made for me. And it took me a while to realize that. And fortunately, I'm a Googler, and I Googled some people that actually ended up helping me a lot. I joined the program. I worked on my depression and just all of the things that were misaligned in my life. And so what happened was I dropped out of college, quit my full-time job, started a business. And well, by starting a business, meaning I stopped doing things for free. I was doing a lot for people, but for free. And I remember my first customer was $100 for 6 custom coded websites, not using WordPress or Squarespace or Wix or Weebly or anything that you guys know about now. So
sounds like a bargain.
Yeah, it definitely was. So I naturally, this is just what I was born to do. Maybe, I don't know. This is just a natural part of my life, and seeing my dad do what he does and discovering other entrepreneurs online in the community. This is just what ended up being what I did. And it's evolved over time. I started as a freelance web designer. Now I'm helping now I'm more focused on helping 6-figure entrepreneurs and businesses scale to 7, but I've helped 7 and 8-figure companies, both corporate and online, with systems and operations and team building and scaling. And this is a really important part of my mission now, because I see a lot of entrepreneurs burning out and getting stressed and overwhelmed. And it doesn't need to be this hard. Like business is not that hard. We just need to have some organization and structure and systems. And I know I'm really good at it. So that's what I'm helping people do at this point. And it's been growing from there.
Cool. Yeah, I remember that was one of the first things that you said to me, is like, I'm a systems person. I can automate and help, cut a lot of that sort of that manual labor, so to speak, in running that business. I want to jump in actually and talk about the whole bot side. I don't know whether or not I am jumping in, but I want to talk about the bot side of this, because it is obviously stupidly hot topic right now. Bots, messenger bots.
Yeah.
It seems obviously you were the one that, like, at the crest of the wave, so to speak.
Yeah.
Where do you see bots and bot engagement and messaging via bots going into 2019, 2020? Like, what do you see like the key things that people are going to be using it for?
Yeah. So yes. And actually I started Bots for Business with Scott Oldford, and he does lead gen and marketing and stuff. And we sold the company to Andrew Warner, and his thing is Bot Academy and Mixergy. And bots aren't slowing down. It's funny. I do get some people messaging me. It's like, did you sell Bots for Business because bots are dying? And I'm like, bots are just starting. That was honestly a very fun side project for me and Scott. And we worked really well together with the marketing and the systems side. And that felt like me scaling a business, scaling marketing, which is what I do for my clients. But it's like, if you just look at ManyChat and the things that they're working on with Facebook, like it's not dying, first of all. Second, there's still a lot of people doing bots incorrectly. And I see it all the time. I subscribe to bots and I'm just like, oh my God, this is terrible. And there's still a lot of opportunity to do it right. There's still a lot of ad space opportunity. Now there's ads within Messenger that you can use. And it's like, not a lot of people are tapping into this, and not a lot of people are doing this right. So it's still, I feel like, in the early stages of people discovering what this actually is and getting used to it and starting to use it more often. And you can use it to engage more in funnels, engage more in course completion. That's what I liked a lot with Carrie Rose and LaShawn, using bots to encourage course completion as well. And reminding them, like, hey, check in with Thinkific. Make sure to, like, finish your course or finish your module or whatever. Or, hey, what step are you on? There's a lot of opportunities with bots. And Andrew Warner took Bots for Business and ran with it and is doing what he's doing. And I think it's a really great thing to continue working on.
Yeah, actually, when you mention people are not really doing bots right, there's actually a comment here on YouTube Live. Kevin McGuire saying, messenger bots are annoying and incredibly impersonal. So I think that's probably, you're probably coming across, those bots that aren't done right. So any tips, maybe just a couple things, maybe around that, how to, like, avoid being impersonal with bots?
Yeah, very simple. Think about the things that annoy you. And don't do those things. Like, honestly, be a human being. Because if you think about it, this is your messenger space. This is private messages. This is a more private space than it would be the newsfeed, right? And no matter what way you think about it, ads are intrusive, and so are messenger bots. So you are interrupting somebody's day for your agenda. So make sure your agenda is actually relevant and valuable to the person you're interrupting. Simple as that. Because if you're doing an ad and you're just trying, and also there's very specific rules about how to use chat bots that people are not following, and they're just going to get banned by Facebook anyways.
Interesting.
So having those clear, making sure, and honestly, Scott is the better person to speak about this, of like relevancy and making sure that your content is actually valuable when you put it in front of a person's audience. But it's not that hard to not be annoying, in my opinion. Just make sure you have good intentions and good value, and that it's relevant at the right time for the right person.
That's an interesting point, because there's I worked at a tech startup many moons ago back in the UK, just when, like, the whole, like, abandoned cart emails and email messaging was really starting to take off. And I remember having a conversation in one of our projects, and I was like, well, do you read like every email every single day? Every single email you get, do you read it? He said, yes, because I always, everything that I subscribe to, or every email that I read, I know is going to be relevant and highly targeted to what I am interested in. So he said, because what you need to think about is like how can you make your message, again, relevant, fresh, and compelling for people to read it every single day. So yeah, like it actually translates very well into like the bot space as well. Because, and you're absolutely right. You know, you are arguably this you pop up on the very, in my case, for an Android phone, you pop up on the side in the little messenger bubble, and yeah, you're right in front of what people are doing daily. And definitely for what I've seen, we've done a webinar with Jeff Goins and his, you know, the guy that helps like run his operations there, Casey. We set up a chat bot for reminders, and it was like the response rate was enormous. So Casey, if you are watching this, mate, hello, how you doing? Let's get it set up. It was a superb opportunity. In fact, we saw a lot more people come from the chatbot than they did actually from the emails or from the reminders, because you're getting that front and center space. Isn't it something like 90% now of like messenger bot or messenger messages from bots are being opened up?
So when I first started Bots for Business, we ran a test, and those were definitely the numbers. It's honestly been a year since I sold Bots for Business, so I haven't done any tests. I'm leaving the bots thing to Andrew to do those tests and to keep up to date with that. I do keep up to date with ManyChat, and I still use the chatbot myself. But it's been a year since I've even tried to do any of those tests to compare email to bot, because I just kind of assume that it's still a new thing. It's still not being used correctly. And when I'm using it, I'm being very intentional of like, this person asked for permission. This person asked for the reminder. This person asked for this message, so I'm going to send it. Or if they haven't, I'm going to make sure it's relevant and valuable to them. And the open rates have been 90% for me.
That's incredible.
Personally, we can't guarantee it for everybody, especially if you're sending out spam. But, you know.
Especially if you're
yeah, I know. But it's the same as email. Like if you're sending spam in email, you're going to get flagged, and there's nothing you can do. So
yeah, it's like you said, it's being personable enough, and I think that there's, you know, it's such a flexible tool that you can convey like yourself. You know, you can get yourself across being personal and genuine and likable through a bot. But yeah, I've definitely seen it. You know, it's like the default thing. You see everyone set up, and you go to their page, and it pops up straight away. It's like, tell me, it's almost like they just want to know straight away what you're worth to them as the message. Do you know what I mean? Like, as the message, it's like, okay, are you making 100K a year, 200K a year, 300K a year? Select one, and then straight away, you know, you're in that bucket. But I think there's a better way to. There's always going to be like much better ways to get that information out of someone. Yeah,
definitely. And I also. It's funny because on the other end, I also get pissed off when somebody doesn't use a chat bot, because I want to use their chat bot, but they're not either active on it or they don't have it set up. And I'm just like, I want this chat bot right now. You have so much opportunity to sell me on stuff right now because I already bought this thing. Where is this engagement at? They're not sending me upsells. They're not sending me emails, and I'm in love with this company. And this has happened multiple times, especially now that Black Friday just passed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, where are the upsells? Where are the discounts and emails? Where are the chatbot messages? I want to be sold to right now.
Exactly. You must have had it. What were your top picks for Black Friday? So again, you've been a systems person. I'm sure you had, and you can say Thinkific as well. This one. What were your top picks for Black Friday?
The tech stack. I'm wearing my Thinkific and ConvertKit shirts, so those are the ones I usually pay attention to. Honestly, what I did this Black Friday is hue lights. Now my lights are automatic. Yeah. I could turn my room purple. So now I'm on brand in my living room. Nice. And I bought a lot of Me undies, which is really random, but they had a 50% off sale. So my systems were underwear, lights, and fitness clothes, because I just started a new workout routine. I think, leggings, workout leggings.
So you're systemizing your offline, offline thing.
So I gotta have new good underwear to wear to the gym with my leggings. while my living room is purple. That's exactly what I did this Black Friday.
Perfect. What else would you do, right? Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, sounds good. Okay, I'm just gonna invite people to ask questions because I think me and Patty kind of missed this in the last couple lives. But if you guys have any questions, you guys are watching us live, ask any questions. Feel free. We'll answer them for you. We have Katya today, so we're talking about really optimizing and really all about avoiding entrepreneur burnout, right? So. Yeah. Maybe Katya, like share a couple, like maybe a story or two of like, entrepreneurs that have come to you, no names needed, but like, kind of when they've, got to that point where, maybe they're having some success or a lot of success, but they're just like super stretched.
Yeah.
And kind of what are the things that, will happen? What have some of the things that you've seen happen in those scenarios?
Yeah. Thank you for asking this because I do want to share more stories and I sign a lot of NDAs because when you're a systems person, you're seeing a lot of behind the scenes that most people would not see and they don't want to share that publicly. So there's different people at different levels. So speaking to the six-figure entrepreneurs, what usually happens is that they have a really big month. And that could mean they sold a lot of their product or service or they got a lot of clients. And now they're like, whoa, I need to deliver on all of this right now. And that might either mean creating the course content or delivering the actual service or scheduling the coaching calls with them. I work with a lot of different types of entrepreneurs, and those are like the three common ones. And it becomes kind of like I'm either servicing or delivering this product or I'm marketing. So then this is when the income roller coaster happens where it's like, I just had a really big month and now I'm going to have a 0 month because I'm delivering on all of the things that I sold last month. And now I'm going to emergency market myself and get another big month. And then now I'm having another low month because I have to deliver. And this keeps happening. Hopefully not for long. I'm trying to catch people before it happens for too long because burnout is very serious. Like, I'm not talking about the burnout of like, oh, I'm so tired, I have too much to do, but like burnout where you get sick and can't get out of bed. I ended up in the hospital, honestly. So it's like, it can get pretty bad if you're not, if you're overworking yourself so much where you're not taking breaks, you don't have a good sleep habit, you don't have good eating habits. And if you start to get sick, you can't stop. You have to deliver on this service because you sold it, right? Or I see people do refund people because they just literally couldn't do it. Right. And so it feels like a lose-lose because it's like, can't market myself because if I market myself, I'm going to get more sales. And if I get more sales, I have to do more work. And if I do more work, I'm just going to be exhausted and it just sucks. So that's usually where people come to me. They're like, I'm stuck here. I don't know what to do about this. And then what it takes is having a very clear documented process of how they're going to deliver the service, because usually the people that come to me love the marketing and sales and don't want to let go of that. They want to kind of let go of the delivery. And that might mean automating a course completely and having an evergreen course. It might mean hiring team members to deliver a part of the service for you. It might be hiring coaches to coach under you and learn your coaching method and coach other people or teach other people that. And then they can just focus on what they're best at, which is the vision of the company, the strategy, the creative work. That's all people want to do. They want to come up with an idea and see it executed by their team. They don't want to be working inside of the business. They want to be working on the business, on the high level stuff, and just making sure that things are working right.
Yeah, no, I see that all the time as well. Like, actually, first of all, I want to say hello to Carrie Rose. Yes. What's up? Facebook Live. Hey, we got a comment here from one of our audience members here in YouTube Live, and she's saying, I feel overwhelmed for all the possibilities and ideas that I have. So her creativity is like 200%, and then she struggles, I guess, to create and actually deliver. And I see that all the time. There's lots of content creators that we come across and lots of entrepreneurs, and they have great ideas. Then it's obviously executing that's really tough, right? And then like, how do we then execute and then, make that sustainable, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
What are your thoughts on that then? Like if somebody is trying to look at what they do, like, you know, on a monthly basis, like what are some of the things that they can start so that, you know, they can, I guess, take that weight off their shoulders,
Yeah.
you know, piece by piece.
Yeah. So do you guys know the Colby assessment?
I'm not familiar with it. Go
No,
ahead.
I don't. No.
Okay, so like a Colby assessment, it's like $50. You guys can take it, and it's like interesting what it tells you. It's kind of mine basically says I'm a quick start, which means I like to start a lot of projects, a lot of ideas, and I don't finish them. And I do get a lot of ideas for content and for projects and for things, and I have had that pattern of not finishing them. And there's a couple of things you can do. One of them is, and because I don't know this person exactly and I don't know what their situation is specifically, so I'm going to give just the three vague overviews. One of them could be lack of time. And if that's the case, then that's where I always recommend rescuetime.com, and it's completely free. There is a paid program,
I know that too.
But actually do what you need to do. You download it for free. You have it running. It's running on my computer right now, my laptop, my phone, my iPad, all of my devices, and it tracks your time. And then after a couple of weeks of having that run, and I do this for all my clients because sometimes I have clients saying, I don't have time. And then I look at their rescue time reports and I'm like, you've spent so many hours on Facebook. I think you do have time. You just need to prioritize like what's important to you. So that's the second thing, is actually getting clear on the vision for your company and for your growth. And so where do you want to be a year from now? If that's too big of a question, where do you want to be 6 months or 3 months from now? And getting clear on like, okay, let's say my revenue is at 20K per month right now. I want to get to 50K per month. What is it going to take to get there? It's the same as driving. You're on Google Maps and you need to put where you want to go. You have to see where you're at, and Google Maps is going to show you the path. If you don't have a path, then you're going to be doing a bunch of things that are just busy work. Right. And so getting clear on your goals, where you want to go, what it's going to take. And most people know what it's going to take. They just haven't actually sat down and given themselves that moment of clarity to be like, oh, this is what I want. And these are the resources I have. And if I don't have resources to do what I need to do, then I need to find the resources.
Right.
And then auditing your time to see where am I going to put, what time am I going to give to these goals, and what can I cut back on? Maybe that means downloading the newsfeed eradicator so you don't even have a Facebook newsfeed. That's what I did. I deleted Facebook from my phone and all social media. Just this morning, I turned off all notifications for Messenger and Instagram and other messaging apps that I have on my iPad, because I woke up this morning and saw a message that I wanted to react to like immediately. And I'm like, wait, no, morning routine first. So this is a constant work in progress. This isn't like perfection overnight, but it's just reflecting on what you want, getting that clarity and being honest with yourself. It's like, well, how am I going to prioritize this? Maybe this means putting time blocks on your calendar to work on the projects that are like highest leverage, actually going to move your business forward, whatever your goals are. Maybe that means cutting out Facebook and cutting out things that are a distraction. I only answer emails one time per night. I don't take phone calls during the day, during my business day. I do client calls on certain days of the week. So I kind of time blocked my calendar. And then the other thing is tracking, like actually tracking what you're doing. So if you set a goal to get 50K per month and you're at 20K, start tracking your revenue and see, okay, when I do X, and I can tell this very clearly now, when I do certain things, my revenue grows. When I stop doing certain things, my revenue stops growing. And I've figured this out by just tracking my time and where it goes. And Rescue Time shows you so specific reports of what apps you were on, what websites you were using, all of that stuff. And then tracking my revenue, I can look at the day and be like, all right, so this week I made this much revenue, and this week I spent this much time on Facebook. Okay, that's not going to work. I need to cut back on Facebook and do more marketing and sales, which is honestly how you increase revenue, is to put yourself out there and make offers.
Yeah.
Or if you are overwhelmed and burnt out and you're doing everything in your business, how do you stop doing as much? You set up systems and you hire a team. So those are the things that you need to be spending time on. documenting your process, setting up organizational structures in your business, getting the resources for that, installing the apps and the software for those things, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's like, once you have that clarity, the next steps are so obvious to you. And when you have ideas, you can write them down. And I write all of my ideas down, and you can either put them on hold or delegate them to somebody else to execute for you, depending on what level you're at in your business.
Great. Oh, that's great. Really good tips. Lots of advice. I'm trying to jot it down, even for myself.
We're recording this, Rob. Don't worry.
Yeah. We're recording. Oh, yeah, that's right. We are recording it. So my question, though, is you mentioned hiring a team. So if you're just like a one-man show, one-person show right now, how do you kind of like, what are some of the thoughts that you go through when figuring out what that first, team member should be doing? Is it going back to maybe the notes you're taking and like kind of reviewing your whole process overall? Is that where you start? Yeah.
Okay. So if I were a one-man show, and I do have a couple of clients that are like this, usually the first step is to hire a VA, like a general VA. And where people get really stuck is kind of like that question of like, well, what do I give to them, and what task should I be assigning, and how many hours, and how can I afford this, and stuff like that.
Yep.
So for that, it's basically the same thing. Looking at your time audit, looking at your rescue time, and let's say that you're spending a ton of hours answering emails. And let's say answering emails is a drain to you. And I'm speaking from experience. I hate answering emails. Or posting things on social media. There's a lot of, the first place that I see that entrepreneurs need to delegate, it's always admin tasks, because admin tasks are like $10, $15 an hour, but they're spending so many hours on that. And I'm like, well, how much could you make if you got one client in that 1 hour? Thousands of dollars, probably hundreds, maybe, if you're not at the $1,000 level yet. And so you have to pick and choose between like, okay, is this a $15 per hour task or $100,000 per hour task, right? And so it makes sense to give that task away to somebody who you pay $10, $15, $20 an hour, right? And there's a lot of people at different ranges. There's Upwork, there's Hubstaff, there's the community around us. There's a bunch of VAs looking for work. And there's people that are better at certain things than we are. Like one of the people that I just hired was for writing. I'm pretty good at writing. I just don't super enjoy it. And I know I procrastinate it. And I know that the time I spend on it is pointless, because I could just do a 5-minute voice memo, hand it off to a writer, and then move on to do the things that actually grow my business, right? It could be that simple. It really doesn't need to be complicated. You can make voice memos. You can make little videos. I tell all my clients, document what you're doing. If you are setting up, let's say one of the tasks is to create a webinar, a live webinar that you're about to run, and you just record a video of it, signing on to EverWebinar or Easy Webinar, Webinar Jam, whatever, and then creating the webinar and the title and all that stuff, writing the copy, adding the images, scheduling it in the calendar, and then inviting people on social media. If you record a video on that, now you can hand that video off to somebody else who could do the setup. You just provide the title, the date, and the copy, and any imagery that you have, and they set up that tech part for you. If you're already doing something that you can explain on video or on voice memo or in a checklist to somebody, and it like honestly is a $10 to $15 per hour task, you should be outsourcing that right now. Because when you're focusing hours on tech stuff, on admin stuff, on social media stuff that doesn't really grow your business, you're losing so much money and so much impact on top. Like, people want to focus on money, but it's also impact, because you're staying behind the scenes versus putting yourself out there and sharing your message and helping people. And that's a big deal.
That's amazing advice. And I know there's a lot of people here that just, some of it sounds so obvious, but I think for some people who are going to be watching this on a replay, joining us live, they're probably going to think, wow, like this might, I can see a lot of people like lighting up thinking, this is just exactly what I've wanted to hear for the longest time. Because I think there's always that worry that, because you're not controlling the outcome of something. And certainly as probably like a solopreneur or a business owner, that's the one thing, you know, if I do it myself, then I know I'm going to do it the way that I've always, I want it to be. But almost like just let go of it, push it. Like I said, document it and let someone else take over. So that actually, I would imagine is probably a really hard thing for you to, that's probably something I would say butt heads with entrepreneurs about when they're like, well, no, I've always done it this way. This is the way that I want it to be done. These are my exceptionally high standards. And, you know, if I don't do it my way, then it's going to, you know, it's not going to get results. You're probably like, I'd imagine, as convinced as you are, I'm sure that you're going to have that. That's going to be one of that thing. Well, no, Mr. or Mrs. X, you need to actually stop doing that and just focus on what you're doing better.
Yeah, I can actually tell a story of my best friend, Avery Ford. He visits me very often and we'll just help each other with like random business stuff. And there was one time that he was like, oh no, something broke on WordPress and I have to do all of this data entry for hours now. And I'm like, what? Hire a VA to do that. And he's like, no, because they'll mess up the WordPress pages and they'll mess up the formatting and they're not going to do it the way that I want. I'm like, okay, you're in my house under my roof. It's my rules and you're hiring a VA. That's the only exception I can tell someone what to do. But in all seriousness though, I understand that I'm a perfectionist. I am a control freak. Trust me, of all people, I am. And what helped me personally was the software called hubstaff.com. It's free to play around with, but once you actually start tracking time, I think it starts at like $5 a month. It's not that bad. And so any contractor that I bring on, I add them to this software, and basically the contractor or VA has to install something on their desktop. And when they start working, they press play and it starts tracking their time for whatever task they're working on. So for my friend, he had them doing data entry on WordPress. So they started tracking time and it takes screenshots, I think every 3 minutes or something like that.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah. I think you could change the settings. It takes screenshots or maybe 3 per 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. And so if you're really a control freak, you can look at the screenshots if you really feel like it. And I like when I first hired a VA, I definitely did that. This was like 7 years ago. I was looking at every single screenshot and like giving feedback and really being on top. I was trying not to micromanage. Like when I was seeing them do a good job, I'd be like, hey, you're doing a great job. Keep going. And then when I saw something that could be done better, I wasn't like, you're doing this wrong. No, I was like, hey, I noticed that you did it this way. Are you open to some feedback? I'd love to help you do this faster and better and a lot easier. I don't want you to waste time on this because you have other work that I want to give you. And so my friend tried it, added them on Hubstaff, was watching them like a hawk. And at first there was a little bit of like, oh, I didn't explain this task clearly to her. Let me clarify. And he noticed it from the screenshots. And so they went back and forth. They clarified it. She got it. And then she completed the task within a few hours faster than he would have with 0 problems, like perfectly. And he was like, wow, that was actually kind of relaxing. And I'm like, yeah, we just hung out and played video games the whole time while your VA was working. You just spent like maybe $20. Cool.
Perfect. That's
so that app can help a lot if you're feeling a little nervous about it, because you pay the contractor right through that. You just like highlight the times, click pay, sends it to PayPal. You can approve what they did or disapprove what they did. So there's a lot of control there, but also that structure will allow you to just let go and let them do their thing, or be aware if there are problems and be able to course correct quicker than if you find out later on.
That's a great.
That
tool.
sounds amazing. Like this is the first time I've heard. This is the first time I've heard this software, and
it's good.
Yeah, and Patty's on top of a lot of software.
Yeah.
Are you on Product Hunt? Do you get Product Hunt emails?
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I do.
I spend a monthly time and money budget to just try out. Hold on, wait. Let me just show what website I'm on my laptop right now. Product Hunt. I have like 20 Product Hunt tabs open right now.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is amazing. I think this is for anyone that's not seen this. I think this is potentially a big game changer for a lot of people's businesses, and again, people that are looking to, like I said, it's give like let the people do the task, and then sort of say sit back, but put some trust in people. And like you said, if you want to be a Snoopy detective, you can always watch their screen stuff. But it's funny because I'm on their page now, and there's an exit pop up, and it just says, yes, I want better productivity, or no, I prefer the money pit. It's a business money pit.
That's great.
So we sort of covered this already, but I was going to ask, what are the key things that people should have? Let's use the example of the solopreneur or a Thinkific course creator. What are the things that they really should be automating right now, or they should be seriously considering automating?
Okay. That's a really big question, because it depends type of question, because everyone's in for example, with me, I try not to look at what is. I don't like generalizing systems, because I know that different things drain different people, and we have to not just look at, well, you should be automating this. I feel like everything should be automated personally. And that's my goal for my clients, is that they're the visionary, they're the creative, they're the strategist, they get ideas and it happens. That's my intention for all of my clients, and obviously to get to 7 figures and make an impact. But behind the scenes, that's what I'm thinking for all of my clients and how to get them there. And at the beginning, as a solopreneur, you have to look at energy and bandwidth and where your time is going and what's the highest leverage activity. As a solopreneur in the beginning stages of business, the highest leverage activity is marketing and sales. So the first thing that needs to be automated is client fulfillment. And that's either having the course completely automated, having all of your content created and up on Thinkific. That could be having an onboarding and offboarding process for clients. That could be me hiring a VA to answer client emails and questions and technical support, right? That's usually the first thing that needs to be automated, because the entrepreneur should be focused on marketing and sales. Because once the client, and this is kind of what happens in that beginning, they've gotten to around 10, 20K per month, and they cannot market or sell anymore because they don't have the capacity to handle all of those clients. And that is a scaling problem. You can't grow until you scale. And so what happens is, once client fulfillment is automated or delegated, now they have more capacity. So their marketing and sales needs to match, and they do that. And that's what the solopreneur, the entrepreneur, should focus on. For me, I'm a little backwards, because I don't enjoy marketing and sales. I actually feel very drained by it. So actually, the first thing I did was I hired a marketing and sales team to do that, because I just wanted to spend all my time in client fulfillment. And I'm still here doing these interviews. I'm still doing podcasts. I'm speaking on stages. I'm doing all this stuff, and I enjoy that. So that's what I'm focusing my time on, versus doing the funnels and the sales calls and stuff like that, right? I know that my highest leverage activity is in creating these systems and hiring these teams to do the other things that drain me right now. And so that's why when I have clients come in, I really look at the overall picture of okay, what's draining them? What do they not want to do anymore? What are the $15 per hour tasks? And what's holding them back from making more money? It's usually a client capacity problem. They can't even take on more work at this point. So either admin needs to be automated or delegated, tech needs to be automated or delegated, client fulfillment needs to be automated or delegated. It's usually the marketing and sales that people hold on to the longest, because they need to see that capacity increase, see the growth increase of revenue, of income, of clients, of product sales, and then they can continue. It's kind of it goes hand in hand. Once you increase capacity, you increase revenue. Once you increase revenue, you increase hiring and capacity even more, and it just keeps going up like that. And that's how you scale to 7 figures.
That's amazing advice. I would definitely say this has been one of the most thought-provoking and 2 valuable lessons learned that I think a lot of our course creators can take away here on the platform. Rob, we got any questions that come in? Any
yeah, we've got a few comments coming in. So we've got Ashton Shanks is saying hey, and we've got Laura Thompson here, who just says that she's actually been using Hubstaff for several months. She used other tools like Time Doctor and Toggle as well. And she was also sharing that you can actually set parameters for different team members how often you can do screenshots, and also blur out screens for any confidential,
Club staff is
information.
amazing.
Yeah, so you know what me and Patty are going to be doing right after this conversation?
Yeah, exactly, mate. That's exactly what we're going to be talking
about. Yeah, exactly. Also, YouTube Live, you got McCann Dog Training, just saying hello. Saying that, I think just kind of reiterating what Katya was saying, sometimes having a new set of eyes on these projects can be really helpful. It's tough to let go of responsibility for sure, and it's nice to get a different perspective sometimes. So I think you were sharing that earlier, like virtual assistants, the things that they're doing, that's like their like zone of genius. So if you actually let them do that for you, they may have better ideas than you have, right? So
I always open it up for my team to give me better ideas. Like my VA, I assigned a task to her the other day, and I'm like, hey, can you find, okay, so my clients, in my program, it's a group program. It's called 7-Figure Freedom Accelerator. And it's been going on since March. And we've done weekly calls since March. Wow. And so one of the newest clients that we onboarded asked for a specific training on org charts and how to create SOPs, standard operating procedures. And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I assigned a task for my VA to go through the Facebook group of where we have all of our recordings stored and find just those 2 trainings. And she comes back to me, is like, hey, you know what? Instead, I'm going to create a spreadsheet with a log of all of our calls and the topics we talked about. And I'm like, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yes, let's do that.
That's awesome.
I sometimes have to teach this to clients. There's a difference between delegating and leading, and you when you start off with somebody, you definitely have to be like, okay, here's what you need to do. Go do it. I'm delegating this to you. But then after a while, you want to build the type of team that is empowered to take responsibility for their roles and buy into your goals and to your vision of the company and be able to contribute to that. And then so that's where you start leading the team, and you lead by example, and you lead by saying, hey, you know what? You have this piece of the company here, and my VA has the piece of the admin stuff. She is responsible for that, for making sure that the ship is running smoothly, basically, because she's on emails, social media, Facebook messages, call recordings, all of that. And she knows the contribution that she's making is very important to us and to the clients. And so she is empowered to make decisions like that and run with it. And I will basically 100% of the time say yes, because every contribution she's had so far has been aligned, because I've been communicating, hey, this is what's important to the clients. Hey, this is what's important to the goals and to the vision of the company. And hey, this is how you are specifically contributing, and giving her room to say, hey, how would you make this better? I trust you at this point. You've been working here long enough. I trust your judgment, and you've been doing this way more than I have. If you need to change something, if you need to make it better and do it. Go for it. And she'll do that. And it's amazing. It's a big difference than kind of like having people just do what you tell them to do, because that's when you start getting pulled back into the company, into things that aren't your high leverage task or your zone of genius. If I was like, only do what I tell you to do, she would be bringing me in for questions and asking me things that I honestly don't know the answer to anymore. And she would have to wait for me for permission for stuff. It's a very different type of energy there. And that's actually a really big shift that I help my clients through, because a lot of people get stuck there with their team, where it's like, well, I might as well do it myself, because my team isn't doing it right, and they're bringing me back into it, and this is just a waste of my time. And it's like, well, have you even empowered your team to be able to do it without you? Right?
Very true. Very true.
That's an amazing point. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that's when people aren't given that once they're trusting, they're given that freedom to go make those choices, those decisions. Yeah. Of course, people, if they're not given that, they're just going to come back up to you all the time. Is it okay if I do this? Is it okay if I do it this way? Did that meet your expectations? And if people want, unless you just want an AI to do stuff for you, you want, which is obviously not going to happen just yet, maybe in the future. But you want people, like I said, people to make those decisions and help you out, because, you are essentially getting, instead of just it's almost like having just your mind, it's because then it's just like your mind, and then you're just saying yes or no to people. you're getting the collective thought power and the brain power of like how many other more people are in your team, because sometimes you might just not know that, wow, like Rob come up with this idea to do XYZ, and I never even thought in a million years I could do that, and it could 10x our business. Yes, and I think I just saw a little pop up, so I was like, that's some truth right there.
Yeah. I've got a quick question though, before our time's up. On YouTube, let's see here, sorry guys. McCann Dog Training, just wondering, are there any preferred sites for seeking out a specific VA, for video editing, platform-specific social media marketing? I think he said that he just joined, so he may have missed it, which I think you had mentioned, Katya, a little earlier.
That's okay. That's easy to repeat. There's Upwork.com, there's Hubstaff.com, and then obviously like tap into communities. There's a lot of job boards or for hire or virtual assistant Facebook groups online that you can find. But my favorite are those three. I've been in love with Hubstaff because people know Hubstaff, the software. And so when you hire somebody from Hubstaff, it's just easy to transition them over. Upwork has their own software for tracking who you hire. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I've used it because people, like when you hire on Upwork, you've got to use Upwork software. And so I've hired people on Upwork and I've used their software, and it works similar to Hubstaff. But you look through those websites for the specific thing that you're looking for, like video editor, and see the type of people that are on those different websites. And then that's how you pick where to post or tap into your network, because there's a lot of people looking for work. Trust me, there's not there's no scarcity there at all.
So just maybe post in your own Facebook timeline and say, does anyone know someone that does blank, right?
Whenever I do that, I'm bombarded with messages.
I bet.
I
bet.
Or tags and stuff like that. Or posting into a Facebook group, like a really big engaged Facebook group, like, hey, who's an editor in here? Who knows of an editor? Oh my God. Especially in a big group, you'll be bombarded. Trust me.
Yeah. So it sounds like you basically manage all of your own team. Like there are companies out there where you can go and you're like, hey, I need, a video editor. And then they would have a pool of freelancers that they would essentially assign to you. Good and I mean, there's pros and cons, I suppose, but it sounds like you manage all of your own.
I do. Yeah. I love hiring. I love all the systems and ops stuff. So of course I love hiring. I love growing my team and working with my team. I want to stay pretty lean, so I don't plan on building a huge team. Some people do want to. And then there are those companies that you can work with them and they kind of work as maybe like a project manager or a creative director and such, and they bring on the different people. That works too if they're a reputable company and if they do their due diligence in hiring. Either way, you need to do your due diligence and make sure that you're either hiring the right company with the right people or hiring your own right person. I have a very intense interview process when I do it. I have a secret word on my job description that I ask them on the job application to see if they even read the job application in the first place or if they're copying and pasting. I'll give them a sample project. I like if the people that are working with me have gone through hell in that interview process. That's all I'm saying. So.
I know Patty can appreciate that the little trick there with his background in recruiting.
My background prior to affiliate marketing and digital marketing was in the recruitment industry, so headhunting for investment banks. So there's probably the questions are probably a bit more like, I guess, generic in some ways, but the interviewing process is absolutely critical. Is there, so apart from like your tip there, so anyone obviously that's watching this and is interviewing for a job now, probably give away a little bit of a secret, but
read the whole ad.
Watch the whole video and comment.
What a secret!
What's the secret word from today's video?
And
you get an opportunity to work with Katya. So, is there any other particular things that people need to? Is there any other particular strategies or any ways that people can weed out like bad third party people or like VAs or whoever it is? Any staff? Any red flags for people to be aware of?
Honestly, it's just following your gut is a really big deal. And I'm surprised that people don't. like one of my friends was hiring and they did a video call interview, and like when they were done, you could just tell that they were like drained, and they were just like, yeah, this person has this problem and this problem and this problem, but I guess I'll hire them. I'm like, why? It sounds like you're settling. You don't sound excited about it. And they're like, well, I really need somebody. Well, you really need somebody, but what you'll do is hire out of desperation and then mess everything up even more, waste money and time having to like deal with this, fire them, and then hire the original person that you needed. So I think actually like taking the time not to hire out of desperation, but out of like, okay, I am clear on my goals. I'm clear where I need to spend my time. I'm clear where I don't need to spend my time. So that means I'm clear on who I need to hire. I know I'm clear on who the right fit is. You've thought this through. Who's the type of person you want to work with? What type of skills do they need? What type of training do you need to give them? What's the pay? And then being honest with yourself when it's like, don't settle for your team because your team is going to build the thing with you.
Right.
And it's gonna be a problem if they're not a good fit, or if you didn't follow your gut and it's just not right, and I've seen so many people waste a ton of time and money. That isn't it like hire slow, fire fast. We're like used to doing the opposite, and it costs a lot of time and money. So I take my time with interviewing. Like I give them first a job application, and I let a bunch of people apply. I cut a lot of people out with the secret word thing. The secret word's different every time. You just have to read the application. It's not that hard. Then I have them fill out a form with like a bunch of questions and like personality tests and stuff like that. And then I'll give them a sample project. No one does the sample project. I mean, I even tell them you can use this in your portfolio. You can use this in your resume for other projects, whatever you want, because it's not a real project. It's not something that I will ever use. It's literally a sample project, kind of like 99 Designs does. A bunch of people make a logo, and then you pick one. And then I do a video interview, and I do a couple of them because the first time people are nervous, the second time they're more chill, and then I take my time making my decision. And it's a long process, but I've like my first VA hire 7 years ago, I believe, is still working in my company.
That is a huge testament then to, again, the method, the recruitment method, but also and what you were saying earlier about, entrusting people to do a great job and getting them to believe in growing the business and almost making it like it's their own business and sort of a roundabout way that like they're part of something very special. That's a huge testament to you, mate. You should be really, really super, super proud of yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's fantastic. I've got a couple questions here and comments before we start wrapping up. So if you guys have any last minute questions for Katya and ourselves, drop them in the comments here.
The comments are hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
Have we got a lot of your fans here? Looks like it.
Yeah. So Ashton, he says he'll work for well-made sandwiches. That's
nice. That's a reason on its own.
Me and Patty will as well. That's usually how
100%.
We get paid in sandwiches. That's great. Also, Suzanne was wondering, I'm a little late to this. What do you guys use VAs for? I think we covered that a little bit, but really anything. It's kind of like when you guys were talking about it, it's kind of like, it reminds me of like those app commercials back, those Apple commercials. It's like there's an app for that. There's like literally a VA for almost anything. So yeah, anything, online course creation. If you guys maybe, what's a couple things that an online course creator could use or, sort of have a VA take care for them?
Honestly, you guys have like a really good experts page. You guys break it down really well. There's content, there's marketing, there's tech setup. And I think there might've been like a strategy or something like that.
Yeah, I think there is. Yeah.
Yeah. You had like your 4 containers for Thinkific and for course creation. You guys got it down right there. Outside of that, there might be like, email management, social media management. There might be like, what are the things that you just do so often that you hate doing? I hate email. I hate social media, managing that.
Video editing.
Yes. Video editing, design, graphic design, copywriting, tech setup for like funnels and webinars and stuff like that. People hate that. I love that stuff. I could be in Thinkific, ConvertKit, like all of this stuff all day long. ClickFunnels. There's also like failed payments, like keeping up with clients and failed payments if they're on a payment plan. There's so much. You just have to look at where your time is being spent. And if you get rescue time, you'll see the apps that you're using. And you could just highlight all of the apps that you don't enjoy, the websites you don't enjoy being on or working on, and then find an expert, find a VA that's specialized in that, and they can work on it. And there's a lot of VAs that are like generalists, but are really good at everything. You just need to find the right people.
Awesome.
I was just going to say, for those that we talk, so anyone that's watching this replay or anyone that's just joined us, I recommend after this, rewind back, because Katya talks about how if you have a task that you're doing a lot of and you're repeating it a lot, then to record your screen. Now, there's a really good tool out there, and I know, Katya, you know as well, like use Loom, which is a little Google Chrome extension. Me personally, I hate writing emails. I can't stand writing emails, but obviously my job, I have to do it.
Yeah.
But I use Loom. I use Loom to record a lot of the video messages. So it'll just be like, hey, it's Paddy, thanks. I hope you're doing well. Can we have a chat or whatever it is? So it frees up a lot of that time. And you can use Loom to actually record your screen. So if you are doing those repetitive tasks, it's a free tool. You can record your screen. You can send that link to your VA, to whoever it is.
Yep.
And then, hey, presto, you've got a very MVP SOP.
This guy actually does really love Loom. I was sitting beside him yesterday, and I got a message on Slack from him, and he's like, "Hey Rob, LinkedIn has this new thing, and it's like a Loom video." I was like, "Patty, I'm right here."
He loves Loom. It's just I'm in the corner, and it's very formal. Hi Rob, it's Patty from Thinkific. So I'm going to show you 5 ways how to do the X, Y, Z.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, of course and more.
Yeah. No, Katya, thank you so much. Before we wrap up, what one tip for online course creators out there looking to get their courses out?
One tip looking to get their courses out. I think honestly, what holds people back is just they know what to do, they're just not doing it. And just do it. And if you have to reach out to the Thinkific community and find accountability or get support, if it's a technical thing, you can hello, they're right here and they're so engaging. You could always ask for technical support. You could always tap into the Thinkific community and get an accountability partner. It's like, I'm going to launch my course, I'm going to market, or I'm going to invite these many certain people to whatever it is that you're trying to invite them to. Just do it without trying to be perfect. Like you just heard MVP SOP. That works. It doesn't need to be perfect. You can make a quick use Loom video. I remember my first course was the worst quality ever. I was just rambling all over the place, but I did it. I put it out there. I made $8,000 and I think spent $300 on ads. And I was not expecting anybody to buy, but I did it and it worked. Okay. So I think if that's holding you back, you have permission, you have Thinkific here, and you've got this. You just put it out there, just set the thing up, hire the person, create the course, whatever you need to do, just go out there and do it.
Fantastic. I think that's a great way to end this live stream. Katya, where can people find you?
Yes. Okay. So you could either search my name, Katya Sarmiento. I'm on all of the social medias, or reachandmakemillions.com. All of my social media is linked on there. I get a lot of messages. My VA is helping me keep track of those. So I do try to respond to everything, especially Facebook and Instagram. And if you need help, this isn't a judgment zone or anything. There's a lot of people that feel chaos and overwhelmed and burnt out, and it's totally okay. Just message me or email me, and we can definitely support you and help you set up the systems or hire the team.
That's great.
Yes. Oh, and one last thing. Everyone, please help Thinkific or help me convince Thinkific to open a hoodie shop, because I'm requesting this, and I will continue to request this. And I know Carrie Rose agrees with me.
That's right.
We have a
We're
campaign.
pre-launching this store now.
we have a campaign for 2019. It's make Thinkific hoodies again. That's what we're doing. We need the new brand hoodies, and we need them in an e-commerce shop ASAP.
Okay, so let's make this happen, mate. Give the people what they want.
Let's get on that.
Let's set up a new Shopify drop ship.
Yeah. Oh my God!
It's gazillionaire Shopify.
You guys aren't getting out of my radar about this. I just hope you realize that.
Is there a e-commerce VA out there?
And if Thinkific don't do it, we'll do a Pirate Joe's type thing where we all set up the Shopify store, and then we'll find out where we get the hoodies from, and then we'll make that happen.
Oh my God.
And we'll spell Thinkific with an F, because it's like how I pronounce it. It's a bit of a rip-off, not the real deal.
PH. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God. April Fool's joke. Hey, you might have something
Exactly.
going there.
And we're still live. No.
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. Sounds good. I think, yeah, we'll definitely get on that. We need to do that. We actually tried once. Long story. We'll tell you after. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Everyone with questions, if you guys are watching this on the replay, leave a comment. We will answer them for you. Katya is part of our community as well, so we'll tag her if it's something that we should not answer. And yeah, we'll see you guys very soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. See you next Facebook Live.